Welcome, everyone. My name is Kenna Griffin. I am the director of programming and engagement. I had to stop for a second to think about that. Programming and engagement for all counseling. And we're a mental health organization that helps therapists grow their private practices by through our digital marketing expertise and through our experience in entrepreneurship. So Ikia Young is with us today. And oh gosh, I don't even know how to fully introduce you because you do so many things. Ikia has been a writer for All Counseling, has worked with Content Journey, our content marketing agency, as a therapist reviewer. You're a licensed professional counselor, and you have worked with in Tulsa, and you have worked with our one of our clients who actually is a journaling app. We can't say too much about them because of confidentiality, but you have worked as their therapist reviewer. And you're here to talk to us today about journaling. And I'm so excited because that's something that I'm trying to do this year more consistently than in the past. So I'm hoping that you can help us out. What did I miss in that amazing intro there?
Absolutely nothing. You got more than enough. I don't know about anybody else, but I hate to be introduced because it's like, man, have I done all of that? Are you sure that's me? But yes, I'm a licensed professional counselor here in the Tulsa area. I am working for a certification in grief counseling as well as in biblical counseling because I've learned that applying a person's faith or a set of beliefs in that counseling arena really helps that person establish a good foundation and just see some improvement. So biblical counseling and grief counseling are two of my specialties. Tulsa Grief and Counseling, you'll see that on my slideshow, but that's my company that I'm working to get started. So I'm honored to be here today.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. And I think I have given you the ability to share your screen. And so you can just jump in whenever you're ready. And for those who are here attending, if you have questions, just go ahead and put those in the chat and I'll kind of monitor it so we know if there's something that we need to address.
I definitely will need your help if that's the case. I think when I put this share screen on, I can't really see, or I don't want to mess anything up, so I'm afraid to navigate. So thank you for your assistance in this. Okay, guys, let's share my screen. And let's start to talk a little bit about journaling. Like, what is journaling? Where did it come from? Why do we do it? What is the big deal? Does it really work? It's just another thing I've got to do in the day. I don't really want to do that. Um, let's have a discussion about some of those things, right? So, my name, like I said, is Ikia Young. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I went to school. I had the honor of going to school with Lindsay, and so that's kind of how I ended up in this realm. Let's go with the slide here. Go ahead. Hold on. I wasn't in PowerPoint. Let's do that. Now my thing should work. All right. There we go. So introductions. I've introduced myself. Would it be possible? You have introduced yourself, Kenna. Would it be possible for those of us who are with us to maybe type their name and then one thing that they are grateful for in the chat? Just as a little bit of an icebreaker. One thing journaling does is we like for it to kind of shut out what's around us. And for that moment at that time when we are journaling or writing something down, we're only focused on that, what we're writing. So I just want to do a little icebreaker to say, who's out there? What's your name? Who am I talking to today? Tell me something you're grateful for. This is 2024. So we're at the beginning of a new year. I know we have resolutions maybe, or just some people have a word for the year. Maybe you had a word for last year. Tell me what we're doing. My name, well, I said my name already, but one thing I'm grateful for is I got a Roomba vacuum, the little one that goes around the house for Christmas. And when I tell you that I feel so special when I hear that thing cut on and it vacuums that, it's like I have help. Like I'm not alone in this, right? I have a fur baby here in the house. And so I always feel like I'm fighting a losing battle. And when I hear that Roomba cut on, man, stress just, it's the greatest thing. I'm going, why didn't you have one of these before? So anyway, today I am grateful for my Roomba vacuum.
So we have Brenda who says they're grateful for my little dog.
Yes. Man, I'm an empty nester, just as a month in being an empty nester, and I don't know what I would do without my dog. So I got that, Linda.
John is here. He says he's grateful for not freezing.
Oh, this weather and everybody in Oklahoma. I mean, are we susceptible to the changes in the Oklahoma weather? Yeah, it can be brutal, can it? It's just awful.
Jennifer Fox, a licensed social worker, is here, grateful for warmth and a heated blanket. I've been wanting one of those.
Yeah, definitely. They are not as easy to find as they used to be. The one I have, like I got years ago with my grandmother. But I'm sure Amazon has them though. But like you used to could go to JCPenney's, Walmart, and places like that, and I didn't see any. Maybe because we're having this cold snap, but they're just not as easy to find. But I am thankful for warmth, warmth, warmth. 0 degrees. I don't see how people live up north where it's like -34. Like I don't even know how to act -34 degree weather. So you are correct. Heat is our friend right now. So just telling discussing who we are, what we're doing. One of the things I want us to maybe just walk away with from this presentation, journaling is not rocket science, right? I mean, we know what it is or what the act is supposed to do. Maybe we know people who do journaling, right? So I'm just going to touch on a few things, maybe share some examples that really bring home the point of the importance of journaling, right? What is it? What is it not? Right? Ways that it can help. There's a little science involved in there. Journaling doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be difficult. It should turn into some sort of a habit, but that habit doesn't have to be another thing that weighs us down each and every day, right? And journaling absolutely can make a difference. Self-care has been thrown around since the pandemic, and we hear about it, we talk about it. We may even be told to do it on occasion. This is another way to do that. But some of the things I get into may appear to be a little bit more non-traditional as it relates to the way journaling is done or the approach that we make towards journaling. Right? So, of course,
I can't. We're still seeing, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We're still seeing your first slide. Are we supposed to be seeing?
Yes, I just moved to the third slide.
So maybe you have to share with us again or something.
Let's stop the share. I'm sharing from PowerPoint.
Yeah, I think you changed it after you launched, maybe. There we go. So now we're seeing, yes.
Seeing it, but you're not seeing it in presentation mode. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. And then I'm going to go to the thing.
This is always the nerve-wracking.
I know. Technical difficulties.
Perfect.
So do you see the slide that says what you will learn today?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to switch that. Tell me if it moves.
Yes.
You did. Okay, good. So real briefly, because I'm not here to be a burden and I want this to be fun and light. Get a pencil and a piece of paper. I provide you with 6 prompts, which is very common in the journaling world, right? I want you to just jot a few things down on a piece of paper, right? Prompt number 1 says, what's my idea of a perfect day? You don't have to write out full sentences. Maybe you can list 2 or 3 things where it's like no traffic, work let's out early, pizza for dinner. I mean, it doesn't have to be difficult. We don't want to make it harder than it has to be, right? Prompt number 2, what are a few things that I do to take care of myself? I gave the number 10, but certainly that's not a requirement. Just give me some things that you think or believe that you do that help to take care of yourself. Number 3, what do I want to do this year? Is there one thing I want to accomplish? Is there a dollar amount I want to save? What is it? Number 4, who is a successful person that I admire? And maybe think about some of the skills that I think I need in order to be more like them, right? Prompt number 5, what are 5 things I'm grateful for? Which is huge. Oprah, that's her thing. I put that in there for a reason. And prompt number 6, 5, 10 things that make me smile each day, right? Shouldn't be hard, very simple. Is it seeing my child or my spouse, or coming to work, laughing with my coworker? Watching a certain TV show. What is it? Let's just take a couple of minutes and jot down. I know I've already listed one of the things I'm grateful for. We've had some good items under number 5, right? I got my Roomba, heat, our fur babies. So we just need 2 more in that category. I like this quote by Oscar Wilde. It says, a writer is someone who has taught their mind to behave. And that's key. Journaling, very key. Our brains want to behave. Maybe another minute. No pressure. 30 seconds. Okay. Maybe wrapping up. And I don't want to know what you wrote. Maybe tell me what prompt you chose to write under. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? And if you can, put that number in the chat. Just to see where where you chose, where your thoughts went this morning. Just taking a few minutes. You see how quiet it is when you sit to do a little bit of journaling. That's always a good thing. Want to stop everything around us and just for a second have some silence, see what's going on up there in our brains.
John chose prompt number 3, which I think a lot of us have on our minds right now.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah.
Brenda and Jennifer chose number 2.
Okay. I do to take care of myself. That's good. Because you know what? We have to have awareness in that area. You may be able to do something that could be considered taking care of yourself, but does it really count if you aren't aware that that's what you're doing? So I don't know. Bringing that awareness to it is fantastic. Good. Thank you. Thank you guys for participating in my small but mighty exercise. It wasn't so bad, right? So Anne Frank, and I want to bring light to my AI created image here. I'm playing around with AI now, so I'm very excited about her. I think she's pretty. Anne Frank is quoted as saying that she can shake off everything when she writes, right? Her sorrows disappear, her courage is reborn, and she's just able to go to another place when she's writing. And that is true for anyone. We were talking earlier, Kenna, about when you write, how you just kind of get caught up, right? You're just writing and you're sitting at your desk, and it's hard to do anything else or remember any thing else that you're supposed to do because you get so caught up when you're writing, right? And so journaling is absolutely a form of writing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But then there's some science. You're not just writing to be writing. You're writing with a purpose. Journaling has a way of providing an escape. Sometimes it has a way of providing us with relief, maybe insight, right? Maybe we need to increase awareness in a certain situation. Writing always can give us some inspiration. It can give us instruction, right, to our lives that maybe we need. Maybe there's an area where we're struggling or we're having some conflict, and journaling about that particular issue or incident can certainly help our perspective. if there's anybody here who is a person of faith, there's a scripture in Habakkuk 2:2 that says we want to write the vision and we want to make it plain on the tablet so that we can run if we read it, right? And that is a great way to look at journaling, right? We journal so that we can be better. We can run after reading it, right? We read it, we think about it, we process it, and then we move. Um, Sometimes we do need a different perspective, right? We need to know that we're not seeing things just from our own perspective, right? I wear glasses, but if I give my eyeglasses to one of you, you cannot see through these glasses, right? These are my glasses. So they're my perspective on the world, and I see clearly with these. But now, if I put on your eyeglasses, I'm not going to be able to see clearly. And we should always remember to incorporate that type of thinking when it comes to our perspective on just about anything. Journaling can help us to learn to accept that our view can be distorted at times because it's ours. It doesn't make it wrong, it just makes it ours and it makes it different. We want to be in alignment with whatever we're doing, whether it's at work, at home, in our relationships, family, with our faith. There's always a desire to be in alignment, right? We might say to just be right. We want to do things right. We want to do things in order. Journaling is also another way to identify that. Ways that journaling can help, exactly what we're talking about, right? What's on your mind? What is something bothering you? Are you excited about, for those who chose the prompt, about some things you want to accomplish? Have we sat down? Have we thought about what that is and how we're going to reach that particular goal, right? Journaling about what that is can maybe help us map out the steps that we could actively take so that at the end of the journey or end of the year, we've accomplished that goal, right? If it's I want to save $5,000, then you know what? I can break that down into paycheck by paycheck, or get a part-time job and accumulate those funds. Like, there are lots of different ways that I might be able to accomplish that goal. But journaling about that and why you want to do that really helps us clear that out, right? Like I talked about, our views can sometimes be different. And this is my own little quote here that says, journaling is simply a written expression of faith, right? I think that's a very key point, not referring to any religious beliefs, but there's a movement of courage and hope that something is going to happen, right? We believe that we're going to reach that goal. That's what I mean when I say faith. That allows us to establish a relationship with ourselves from the inside out. We're very good maybe at establishing relationships with other people and those around us and our jobs and our clients and blah blah blah. But we want to also learn to establish a relationship with ourselves. Sometimes journaling is a very good way to do that, right? Identifying who we are, what's our posture or our position. I love those two words. What's our posture or position on things around us or on ourselves or on what we're doing, right? Is this the right job for me? Is this where my talents line up? I'm unhappy every day. What's going on, right? I really find conflict with this particular family member. Why is that, right? How can I change that? Is it me? Am I coming off, just analyzing who we are and how we're approaching certain things. Journaling certainly allows us to do that, right? The benefits of the verbal and written disclosure, some self-awareness, the mindfulness, right? It allows us to maybe release our emotions on paper, which is fantastic, but that builds emotional resilience. You're less likely to feel like you're going to be overwhelmed with emotion if we're able to express those emotions and just literally get them out on a piece of paper, right? Certainly journaling can be goal setting, progress tracking. We'll look here in just a minute at some of the ways we probably already do that. We just don't consider it to be journaling. One story that I absolutely love to bring home this point is related to George Washington Carver, Dr. George Washington Carver, who was big at the turn of the 20th century. You may have heard of him. He was very instrumental in the peanut, in the development of the peanut as a crop. Back then, all crops were cotton, of course. That's what America was, really selling and making. But what was happening is the fields and the ground was starting to grow weary of that. And so George Washington Carver comes around and starts to teach farmers about crop rotation and then planting something different so that the nutrients in the soil could be restored. Well, he talks about how he got this idea, how he, because everybody's like, what is it with you and the peanut? Like it was like 300 different uses for the peanut. Well, where in the world did you get all of this information? And he talks about he's a person of faith, and of course they're in a farming community, so it's very common for people to get up early. He would get up early and have conversations with his higher source, and he began to ask questions like, um, Lord, how does the earth work? What is it in this universe that I can learn? What is it that I can learn? And he said his answer was, oh, that's too big for your small mind. That was what he interpreted as the answer he got for that question. So then he began to go back and say, okay, well, what about the earth? Can you tell me about the earth? And the answer was, nope, still too big for a proportion of the mind that you have. He goes, okay, what about man? Tell me why you made man. Maybe I can start there. And he goes, nope, that's still too much for you. You can't handle the answer for that. He says, okay, plants. He said, nope, still too much for your little mind. Now, this man is a very brilliant scientist at the time, and he knows he's intelligent, but his answers were very humbling, he said. And so he goes, okay, what about the peanut? And he goes, okay, I'll give you everything you want to know about the peanut. That's in proportion with the mind that you have, right? So he goes, take the peanut to your lab. I want you to separate it into fats, waters, oils, gums, resins, sugars, starches, amino acids, and then recombine according to my 3 laws of compatibility, temperature, and pressure. So he was given inspiration around just one thing. And that's what I want to highlight with journaling. It allows us to pay attention to the things that are important to us, that are in proportion to who we are and what we are supposed to be paying attention to and what we are supposed to be doing, right? We don't want all the ideas. We don't want good ideas. We want the idea for us, right? Or we want to be able to get all of the parts of our peanut, so to speak, and then learn how to do that thing with the peanut well, right? Sometimes we get caught up on what other people are doing or how they're doing it, or maybe we have ideas for other people, but we want to be sure to be able to come back to what it is we are supposed to be doing. And that's my story for how proportion and position can be aligned with an exercise like journaling, right? Journaling increases that self-awareness. I talked about that. And mindfulness, just admitting. Journaling can be humbling because sometimes we have to admit that that's not for me, right? That's not what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe we're supposed to be with someone else or going in a different direction, right? When we start to think about 2024, what is it that we want to do? Where is it that we want to go, right? We are not all so naive or full of ourselves that we think, you're where you're supposed to be forever, right? We know that this life means that sometimes we move around, we do different things. Content journey is several clients. It's not just one client with one product, right? So, are we too high? Are we too low? Similar to talk therapy, journaling allows a person to simply express what's on the inside and get it out. It has a way of reducing stress. It has a way of, I talked about increasing that emotional resilience because once you do it, you get better at it. It's just the human way. Practice makes us better at certain things. The message that emotions are bad sometimes keeps us from wanting to journal, right? Nobody wants to be an emotional mess. You hear that a lot, right? They attribute emotion with something negative, right? Or if you see somebody crying, oh my gosh, you're running to get Kleenex and tissue because you want the tears to stop. You want them to dry up. So sometimes journaling allows us to express those emotions without all of the outward input. And so eventually we get stronger and better at being able to handle those emotions. Um, Ever heard of Post Secret? Am I the only one? Am I showing my age here? Kenna, have you ever heard of Post Secret?
I have. Yeah,
Okay, good. Good, good, good. Do you know how it started?
I don't.
Okay, so the gentleman that started Post Secret was volunteering for a suicide hotline. He had been personally affected by suicide and wanted to give back. And so he started to volunteer at a suicide hotline. And what he found was that those that called that suicide hotline felt better after releasing some sort of secret, right? They were holding on to this information or this secret that maybe they weren't able to really share in their, traditional day or life. And so they would call in this hotline because they were sad or feeling really bad or and as they talked, things would come out. Some sort of confession or something would be released. And then the person on the other end may not be healed. I'm not saying that or, all better, but they certainly did show improvement. And so he went on to get a experiment going where people wrote secrets on a postcard and mailed them to him. And here we are, 17 years later, 800 million views to the website. More than 1 million postcards have been mailed in. He's got museum uh, exhibits from some of these postcards, and I put a couple up here so you can just kind of see how creative and unique people can be when they're writing those secrets on those postcards. We've got he doesn't have to do ads. That's the big thing in 2024. Most every website, that has shows people something has ads on there. He's never had to do that because it is just self-sustaining, all of these years. Um, he's got books, this is the cover of a book, the confession, the Post Secret item on the right up there. That's one of his book covers. We feel better when we let go of secrets. We feel better. Clearly, we want to read other people's secrets, first of all, but we feel better physically when we let go of something that we're holding on to. There is a physical release when we take something and maybe even write it down in a journal. Literally feel physically better. You feel lighter. There is less stress. There is a liberating feeling that is scientifically been proven to improve your immune system, right? If you're catching colds, like let's look at some secrets. Are you holding on to some stuff that you need to tell? Maybe you can go to postsecret.com and you can write the secrets out on postcards and mail them in, and you'll feel better, right? That's one of our goals. Which can take us to just the science of journaling. We have to admit there's a connection there between our brain and our body, right? That study is called psychosomatics. You can look it up, you can Google it. Here's another one of my really creative AI images. Thank you very much. But by journaling, we can start maybe to identify common things. If we're writing about something that we're angry about, where is anger showing up in our bodies, right? Have you ever been, what do they say? You see red when you're mad. Or if you get nervous, you get that feeling in your stomach, heart starts beating real fast. Maybe our palms get sweaty. There is a physical connection to what we are thinking. And so psychosomatics is certainly the study of that. One of the reasons why talk therapy works so well is it's the science of letting go, right? Several bodily changes have been tracked and identified when someone lets go of something that they've been holding on to. Vocal changes, heart rate slows down, mental alertness, lightness in the chest area. And thinking about like the polygraph test, that's the whole point of the polygraph, right? The polygraph tracks your body's reaction to certain answers or certain questions that you've been asked. And what they found is typically if someone is guilty, their bodies behave in a different way. So those are just a few of the things that we cover when we talk about how journaling affects us physically, or how letting go and journaling can help to show improvement to us, our bodies physically. Tough to say that, sorry. Here I have some statistics on journaling, right? So there was a study done, a very large study done on, I want to say it was about less than 400, but it was a little more than 300 people. And they were tracked over a several month period, and they were required to journal for 20 minutes a day, at least 3 times a day, but no more than 5 times a day. And at the end of the study, here's what they noticed. There was a lower number of doctor visits needed by those individuals. They reported, up to 70% of them reported less negative thoughts, right? They reported lower blood pressure numbers, lower amounts of cortisol in their body, which is that fight or flight um, hormone that we get when we're in high stressful situations, or freeze. They showed 85% higher levels of gratitude, better sleep, better communication. They reported being more, I think some of the words were like they had more patience, to talk to people who they typically couldn't spend much time dealing with or talking to. They had the time to find the right words to say what they were trying to say. So just a huge host of positives just from journaling 20 minutes a day. No less than 3 days a week, but at least 5 days, 3 to 5 days a week. The gratitude and the negative thoughts was something that I always like to point out. We are naturally negative. And I say this with my clients all the time. If you were to put your thoughts in neutral and just let them coast, they're going to go in a negative direction, right? It takes work and practice to teach ourselves how to think and be positive, right? And that's a life-saving thing, right? If you think how we've grown over the years genetically, right? Our negative thoughts will come from life-saving and life survival skills, right? Scanning and looking for threats and being worried and distrustful and whatnot probably saved our lives at times, or saved our ancestors' lives, right? But now, as we go through life, it's just naturally something that we do, right? So we have to train ourselves, and journaling is an excellent way to work on and train ourselves to become more positive, right? Maybe just realizing, man, that was negative. Do I always think this way? Do I always see that the cup is half empty instead of half full? Just again, increasing that awareness, or becoming more mindful of our take and our approach presentation to the world outside of us. Jerry Seinfeld says the way to become a better comic for him was to create better jokes. And how did he create better jokes? He wrote every day. So Jerry Seinfeld had a joke journal, I guess. What ways do we journal, though? We already journal in our checkbook. I bet you didn't think of that as a journal, but it is. It's a financial journal. You write everything down. Or maybe nowadays we don't necessarily write it down, but we have digital versions. We still pay attention, right, to what balance is in our account, or what's, if we take something out, we document it some sort of way. Maybe we have a written budget. We have food journals. Every major weight management or loss system includes some sort of food journal. Writing down every bite you put in your mouth. I've been a Weight Watcher on more than one occasion. And one of the first things they give you is a little food tracker, right? They assign points, and you have to write down what points you've eaten for the day. It works. Every single time it works. Sermon notes, classroom notes, work notes, right? If you guys go to a meeting with Lindsay or Kenna or someone, you take notes, right? That's a type of journaling that we do. We journal to remember. You want to remember what the boss said, you go write it down. So nobody wants to be in trouble for forgetting what, they were told to do, or what the boss said, or, the things that were important and whatnot. So journaling helps us remember things. Journaling helps us achieve goals, keep track of things, keeps us out of trouble, right? I don't want to just go out and spend like I've got all the money in the world, because I don't. It's going to catch up with me, and then I'm going to get in trouble or, be put in jail for just spending money that I do not have. So those are some examples of journals. There's also things like the gratitude journal, which is that's all you do, right? Every day, Oprah writes 5 things that she is grateful for, and she attributes that one single act to her success. She has a gratitude journal. And so I just wanted to make note of that because we can see her success, right? And for her to say that her gratitude journal has played a huge part in that, to me, is a big deal. You're looking to do something, write down what you're grateful for, right? Of a reflective journal, right? Write down things that have happened in the past that maybe you don't want to repeat or you do want to repeat, but remembering, great reason to journal. Maybe you do an art journal. You don't have to write words at all. And draw pictures. I know I don't have it. I don't have them here with me, but I have a lot of colorful, pens around me because when I journal, I like to journal in color. I don't want it to just be old, boring black or blue. So I got a bunch of colorful pens that I journal. So I kind of include art in my journal. You can have a goal-directed or purposeful journal. You can use the journal prompts like what we had a few slides ago, right? You can just use a sentence for the day and write. It can be used as a way to share things with your spouse. A lot of couples that I have in my therapy practice, I have them do a couples journal. It's one journal, but they both use it, and it is readable by both parties. And they are to journal about certain things, whatever it is we're working on. And so it gives them a way to communicate with the other person without having, the pressure of doing it face to face, right? Hopes, dreams, fears, worries, concerns, struggles, whatever it is. A couples journal. There's a bullet journal. Maybe you like to see, A, B, C, D, and you like to check things off. I'm not that way, but I certainly love to look at your journals when you do it that way because I am in awe. I love how it looks and how neat it is. And maybe that's the thing for you. Atomic Habits is a great book. His name is James Clear as the author, and he has an Atomic Habits journal that's a great format for that bullet journal type style, right? All right, I'm just going on here. Yes. All right, let's keep going. What else do we have? Digital journal. So one of the main apps that is out there for using digital journals on your phone or on your iPad is provided by Day One. Day One is a fantastic app. Matter of fact, it's like the leader. They've got like 10 million downloads, 500,000 active users. I mean, this thing is huge. And nowadays, we don't want to make things difficult. You keep your phone with you all the time. This is a great way to journal. They provide prompts. They provide the ability to incorporate things like pictures that are already on your phone. I have 10,000 pictures on my phone. I have no idea what they're of or what I'm going to do with it, right? But I'm thinking I'm going to incorporate some of them in my journal for legacy. The purpose of legacy is something that is important to all of us. And in the counseling arena, legacy gives us purpose, right? If you have children or your spouse or siblings or just loved ones that you want to share things with, this is a great way to do it. This is a great way to put some meaning and some purpose to the things that we do every single day. God forbid something happened. If you were to have a person's thoughts of their journal and comments about pictures and things like that, it will be extremely meaningful to you to have and to be able to hold on to and to keep. And so thinking about that concept of legacy, Day One is just a great tool or mechanism. Now, there are others out there But for whatever reason, I like day one, so I wanted to highlight them as well. And I've got some great graphics for them. So they certainly have a mission to provide, to transform journaling for everybody and to make it easy for everyone to do, right? So we cannot complete this presentation though without talking about the habit of it all, right? Because it's a habit we have to build to remember to journal every day. And here's where I struggle. So we talked about Seinfeld a minute ago and how he had made the commitment to write for 20 minutes, write jokes for 20 minutes. And if you've ever heard this story, he talks about he would write jokes about the ketchup and the way it comes out on his chicken nugget. I mean, he just would write crazy jokes about just whatever he was doing at the moment. But he ended up being able to write great jokes, about some really weird stuff. And clearly his success says that he's really good at it. But he'll tell you his goal wasn't necessarily to write, his goal was not to break the chain. So for him, when he wrote for 20 minutes, he put an X on the calendar. And so eventually he started to build a chain of X's on his calendar. His goal was to not break the chain. He focused on the chain, not the writing for 20 minutes. And for whatever reason, that was a lesser, come on, Ikia. It just didn't, it wasn't as hard to do because he wasn't thinking about writing for 20 minutes. He was thinking about just simply not breaking the chain, right? So changing our perspective on the habit of journaling is something that we can do. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be small. It can be simple, but that doesn't mean it's not meaningful or it's not valuable, right? Small changes can equal remarkable results. There's also the law of marginal gain. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of the 1% law. Have you ever heard of that, Kim? The 1% rule? No? Love this. Okay. So the law of marginal gains is the theory that something small but significant improvements can come together to make really monumental changes or results, right? So you have to believe that the little thing you're doing, maybe you're writing one sentence a day. That's the thing I'm going to leave here with us today, right? Just journal one sentence a day. But believing that that one sentence a day can lead to something, very big, very monumental. Yeah, it seems ridiculous, but it's not. The 1% rule was instrumental for Coach David Brailsford of the British cycling team. You guys may have heard of this. The British cycling team in over 100 years hadn't won a thing, right? So they bring in this coach, David Brailsford, and he implements this law of marginal gains or this 1% rule. And what he does is he goes in and wants to improve or does improve little things by 1% in the hopes that all of these things together will make a difference. So for example, he improved the seat that the riders sat on, right? He made it more comfortable, more ergonomically correct. He improved the uniforms that they wore, made them more climate controlled and, comfortable to wear. He put alcohol on the tires that they rode on so that the tires would grip the road a little bit better. He improved he brought in doctors to improve hand washing techniques so that there would be a lower cases of sickness and illness and colds, which again, kept the team going and kept them training. He improved the massage gel that they use so that they would have better muscle recovery. Right. So he just started making all of these small changes. They got new pillows, they got new mattresses, right? So that their sleep was improved at least by 1%. But what happened? He came in 2006. By 2008, they had won the Tour de France. They won like 60 some odd, how many? Huge number of, they won like 6 Olympic medals that year in 2008, right? Going on to win like 60 something in total during his tenure. They won the Tour de France that year and they went on to win like, just hundreds of medals coming from almost 100 years of not winning a thing. So clearly, this 1% law, this increase over time, works, right? Journaling, same deal. You have to believe that something so small can really make a difference. Journal, the habit of it is worth it, right? We don't know it yet. It doesn't seem like it yet, but to just try it certainly um, is worth trying. We may end up, with Tour de France and better budgeting habits and, bigger savings or more joy at work or the job that we really love and enjoy. Like that's what we're trying to get to. One of the small things we can do to get to those things is journaling. And to sum up where journaling fits into the connectiveness of it all is demonstrated in the 8 dimensions of wellness, right? So for anybody that's in mental health or anybody that's in the world of self-care, there has always been a goal to have balance, right? I look when my clients are sitting across from me, I look for where they might be out of balance, right? Are they more into the physical and not into the emotional? Are they more into the spiritual and they're forgetting about the social or the occupational? What area maybe is out of balance? Journaling can help point out any area where there may be an imbalance of sorts, right? Maybe we are struggling financially. Okay, if we're struggling financially, are we out of balance in another area? And can we bring some, do some things or identify some things that we can do that may help bring the financial piece back into balance with where we're going or what we need it to be, right? The 8 dimensions of wellness can be highlighted with journaling as that form of self-expression, just to improve it all, improve our mental health, improve our physical health, maybe improve our social. Yeah, I want to get out more. I want to talk to people. Okay, what can I say? Let's practice. Let's write out some introductory things, or maybe we can we can read a book. All right, we can emotionally talk to someone else, a friend that we do have, figure out how to get better at the social part of it. Right. So just being able to identify where we have needs. Journaling gives us a safe way to identify them. It's humbling, right? Identifying the fact that we do have needs. We don't have it all figured out. We need help. We need relationship with others. We need relationship with ourselves, right? That's what journaling, my little quote said. It's the ability to establish a relationship with ourselves. What's going on the inside and how is it showing up on the outside? What do I believe? What am I struggling with? Journaling, or I'm doing great and I want this to continue. How do I make sure that these things continue? How do I make sure that, I grow in the areas that I want to grow in, or I stay right where I am because I am balanced really good and I want to keep that? Those are some of the things, questions, goals that journaling helps us to stick with or helps us to accomplish, right? So I know I've got some journal prompts down here. I believe I've got another page. Yes, I've got another page with some more journal prompts that I've provided to others, and I'll send these so you can just, if you want to share with anybody else, you can absolutely do that as well. But just to wrap this up, journaling, yes, it's writing. Yes, it's tedious at times. Yes, it's something else that we have to make ourselves do. I didn't mention this earlier, but maybe we institute something like choice architecture to help us, right? That means putting your journal and a pen on your pillow. So before you can even get in your bed and go to sleep, it's right there. And it's really easy to just go in and, today sucked, or I did horrible today, or man, today was great. Maybe you just put that in your journal and then you set it to the side. And when you get up in the morning, you put the journal and the pen right back on the pillow, right? Or maybe you leave it in your seat or your chair at your office. And so when you get to work or when you get to your office setting, you have the journal right there and you pick it up before you sit down. And the first thing you do for the first, few minutes is you write in your journal, right? We can make our environment make it easier for us to journal also, right? It doesn't have to be hard But I hope I was able to show you guys today that it can definitely be worth it. It can definitely help us to do some really big things as well as feel better, right? We all want to feel better. Life is hard, right? But it doesn't have to be bad. So thank you. I'm done.
Thank you so much. That was really interesting. Like I said, I'm trying to build the habit better this year. I was talking with my therapist just last week, and I am doing that really fun thing that we do during certain seasons of our lives where we don't sleep through the night. And she said, I want you to start journaling before you go to bed. And then when you wake up, I want you to remind yourself that you left that on the paper and just go, nope, I'm not going to do that right now. I left it on the paper. But I found through the years that it's really good for me to be more introspective, right? To go, okay, I'm not in control of other people. What can I do in this situation? What am I in charge of? What can I change? What can I instead of just getting mad,
Yeah.
to go,
And really
what's my
find
role?
out, what am I supposed to change? Am
Right.
I supposed to, be involved in this, right? Just asking those kind of hard questions. Like there's a little bit of maturity that has to be involved with that process because we have to really ask ourselves those kind of hard questions, and identify, right? What am I supposed to change? And sometimes you got to say, I'm not supposed to do that. That has nothing to do with me.
Right. And then
So
you can
let me
let it
quit being
go.
mad about it. Yeah,
Right, right.
absolutely. So many
Uh,
good questions.
Sometimes I also notice that my journal does not look like writing. It sometimes ends up being circles and words and lines and points and just me processing, right?
Yeah.
Whatever's in my mind, which I find really helpful. For me, it's all about the writing. So I haven't embraced the digital aspects of it yet. What
Yeah.
questions from our participants? If you have questions, you can drop those in the chat now. I know that just building the habit can be challenging, but Laura Vanderkam, who is one of my favorite time management researchers, she says what you do most days is a habit, right? So she's basically saying don't beat yourself up if you miss a day or two. If you journal 5 days a week, it's a habit.
Yeah, and it's good. It has great results. Yeah, Ebony asked, will the slides be shared? Absolutely, Ebony. I will send that slide um, deck to Kenna, and Kenna, will you make it available? Okay, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you for asking.
Lots of interesting research on the slides and just the benefits. I mean, if you look at the benefits of journaling, it's like, how can I not do this for my
Right,
it
right,
seems so
absolutely.
easy
That's
to do in comparison to some other things. It can get uncomfortable.
can. And so sometimes we tend to stay away because we're like, I know I've got to have this conversation with myself. I've got to really look at this relationship, or I've got to really look at this job, or I've got to really look at, my next steps or getting into school or, just whatever. Um, but I mean, it's not going to go away. So at least we can do it quietly, privately, in the comfort of our home, in the warmth of our electric blankets. We can, get our journals and we can start to have hard conversations first there before we, take action and have them elsewhere.
So, one of the things that you said that resonated so much with me, that wasn't necessarily about the journaling practice itself, was the idea that our brains are sort of wired to be negative. Because I've always thought I had a tendency to be kind of negative, and I tried to sort of train myself out of that. So it was interesting to hear that, okay, I'm not alone. It's not just me. And sort of trying to turn that around, right?
Yeah, you have to build the habit of positivity. You don't naturally have that. Now, you can maybe have had very positive parents and, very positive people around you. And so you constantly got that message of positivity. So, yes, it's easier for you. But you have to work at it and you have to keep working at it. Because again, just if we're naturally we're in this world, we're surviving, right? Self-preservation is the first law of nature. And in order to preserve yourself or protect yourself, that means I've got to, scan my environment, look for threats, make sure that no one's out to harm me. And so there's just a natural safety mechanism built in there. And it does require us, it's just a negative outlook, naturally. So we put our thoughts in neutral, they're gonna coast downward. Have to work to bring them back up.
I hadn't thought of it as journaling, but about 6 months or more ago, I started this practice where I have a group of 5 friends. It's not a group, though. I send it to each one individually, where we send each other a text every night of our positive of the day. And the idea is that every day may not be good, but there's something good in every day, right? Which I heard come from Gretchen Rubin, but I don't think it's initially her quote. But we do this every night. Um, and my sister is one of the women who I share with and send them back and forth, which is so fun and helps you keep in touch with your friends.
Yes.
But one day I was having a really bad day and I was trying to find like what was the positive thing. And I was like, that asparagus that I ate for dinner was really good. So my positive that day was my asparagus was really good. And my sister said, wow, you must have had a terrible day if asparagus was the best part. And so now that's sort of become our code word. It's like, I'm having an asparagus day, but,
Yes. Absolutely.
this happened that was really positive.
Yeah, great way to make memories and to have a standard, right? Listen, if I have nothing else, I have my Roomba that I can be grateful for. It can be the best part of my day is that something helps me vacuum. So yeah, there'll be days like that though.
Right,
There will be. We can't run from them and we can't ignore them and we can't avoid them. They're going to come. We might as well be prepared.
right.
Expect them and be ready when they show up. So
Any final questions from the group before we wrap up? So much fun. I hadn't thought of those daily texts as journaling, but now I'm like, oh, they kind of are. We're journaling to each other.
yeah, yeah, you guys are creating so I don't know, a grateful, thankful journal, a digital thankful journal, because you can go back and look maybe and see what everyone has said over the days.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. I learned so much, and I appreciate you spending your time with us. And I will get the slides out to everyone who attended, and we will get the video up and a summary post on All Counseling here probably early next week, and share it with everyone. But I appreciate your time. Stay warm and
Thank you.
safe in
Guys
Tulsa.
do the same. Yes, be careful and stay warm.
Okay, have a
Thank
wonderful day. Bye bye.
you too. Bye bye, everybody. Thank you so much.